Hello everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Dacade. My name is Dacade, and today we're going to start working on the player health system a little bit. We kind of already have a health system in place for enemies, and it's essentially the same thing. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. The very first thing I want to do actually is I want to fix a mistake that I noticed on one of my other videos. Unfortunately, it took a while for me to catch it. But nonetheless, it has to deal with the room script here. So let me pull up my notes. So with your room script up and running, if you want to take a look, should be at the bottom where it says on trigger exit 2D. Yeah, I forgot to put the actual collision. So if you don't do this, then anything that's a trigger that exits the scene will cause this stuff to happen. And yeah, since our sword is technically a trigger, anytime you swing your sword, as soon as your sword is done swinging, this will go into effect. So let's fix this by just putting other dot compare tag and then not tag, and then player, and then put our brackets in, and that should take care of that error. So with that out of the way, let's actually move on to doing our player health system. So let's go over to our player, and let's scroll all the way to the top here. Excuse me. So one of the things that we need to do in order to get the player health system going is to add health to the player. So in order to do that, we are going to go under where it says player speed, and we are going to do a private int, and then max health, and then a private int. Sorry, my R key apparently is sticking. And current health. There we go. So that's all we really need to do for right now. One of the things I do want to do, we started kind of doing this in the last video, I think, is I want to start organizing this a little bit better. So here I'm going to put a header, and it's just going to be simply sword manager. And then I don't know if we've done tooltips yet. Actually, we have, because there's one right here. But I'll show you exactly what tooltips are here in just a minute. But we want to add a tooltip for anything that's going to be in the inspector. So since this is a serialized field, R key is going to drive me crazy. But since this is going to be a serialized field in the inspector, it's always a good idea to add tooltips. And the reason why you want to add tooltips, again, if you're the only one working on it, no big deal. But even if you are the only one working on it, it's still nice to be able to look at these tooltips and go, oh, that's what that means, in case you haven't come back to it in a while. So we're going to add a tooltip to that. We already have a tooltip to this, but we're going to add a header above it. And we're just going to name it player stats. And then for these ones here, actually, we need to serialize the fields anyway. So first things first, let's just add the tooltip. And then the player's max health. And then serialize that field. And then down here, tooltip, the player's current health. And then serialize that field. One more we got to put a tooltip for. The current state of the player. There we go. So what tooltips do, and what the headers do, in case you didn't watch the last video, is they allow you to organize your inspector just a little bit. So once this is done doing what it's got to do here, we'll click on the player and I'll show you. So if we go to the player script under player, you'll see the headers here. But if you hover over what each of these little things are, you'll see that tooltip. So the sword manager needed to control sword and strength. Player speed, the speed of the player, max health, the current health of the player, current health, or the max health of the player. Current health is the player's current health, and current state. You'll see that little tooltip right there that says the current state of the player. Again, not 100% necessary. If you are working with more than one person, it's a good idea to do that. And it's also a good habit to get into because even if you are doing this solo, sometimes you might not go back to that for literally months and then go, oh, wait, what's that? If you're naming it the way we're naming things, it should be self explanatory, but sometimes it can get a little confusing. So having that little extra help does not hurt. But now that we have the tooltip in place and all that, first we're going to go to, since we're here, we might as well do this now. Where it says max health, I'm going to change that to 6. Um, think of the Legend of Zelda. You start with 3 hearts, but each heart is 2 health. So technically you start with 6 health. So same thing here. We're just going to put max health to 6. We don't need to do anything else here. We do need to go back to the player script here. I think we need to go to the player script. Did we add a take damage? I'm checking my notes here real fast. I added it in my notes, but I'm not sure if we added a take damage function yet or not. We did not. So we're actually going to do that right now. So preferably above your attacking co here, we want to add a public void take damage. And we want to put in here int damage. Then we want to add current health minus equals damage. And then underneath that, we want if current health is less than or equal to 0, then we want to set the current health to 0. And then we're not doing this just yet, but we want any death logic here. And let's be a little bit more specific here. Player death logic. What we are going to do for right now, though, is just put in a debug log. The player has died. And then one more thing we need to do for the player is if we go all the way up here to start, pass it up, there we go. Somewhere in the start method, we want to put this little code right here that says current health equals max health, and that'll just set your current health to the max health. That should be all we need to do in the player for now. We are going to add stagger and invulnerability for a short period of time after the player takes damage at a later date. But for right now, we just want to get an overall health system working. So now that we've done that, we want to go to our slime enemy. And since our slime enemy is going to chase the player and then collide into the player, and not all of enemies are going to do that, we want to do this specifically in the slime enemy. So what we're going to do is down here, we're in the trigger enter 2D, or on trigger enter 2D. What we're going to do is we're going to do if an other dot compare tag, and if that other tag is the player, then what we're going to do is just player dot take damage and then damage. So all we're doing here is when the slime collides with the player, it's going to call the function take damage on the player, and then the amount of damage that you have the slime set up to do will be subtracted from the player's current health. Let me just double check my notes, but I am pretty sure that is all we need to do for slime enemy and player, so we should be good to go there. So let's head back over to Unity, let it compile. Now we are going to get this little error that says the slime enemy dot collision timer is not being used. That will come very shortly whenever we have collisions with the player that when we have stagger and all that other stuff. So we'll get to that likely next video. If not next video, it'll be one of the upcoming videos very shortly. But now that we've done all of that, let's click on our player. Max health set to 6. Let's hit play. Once this does its thing, let's scroll down in the inspector till we see the current health move to max health, which is 6. Good. So now let's go find that slime. There he is. Let's let him run into us once, see what happens. So something happened, but it took a lot for it to happen. And, well, now we're just sliding off the screen now. So that is something that we're going to fix at a later time. Not doing that right now. But one of the reasons why that happened is because we do not have an actual hurt box for the player. So with your player selected, zoom in on them, come to the inspector, hit add component, and we want another box collider 2D. We want to make this one a trigger, and let's edit that. We want it to be slightly bigger than the player, not a massive amount, just slightly bigger than the player. And you don't have to use a box collider. If you want, you can use a capsule collider or any other type of collider, just as long as the enemies and anything else that's going to collide with the player that can possibly hurt the player has room to actually hit. So box collider actually might not be the best thing. So let's get rid of the box collider here. Just remove component. Let's add component, and let's do a capsule collider 2D. And with the capsule collider 2D up and running, let's make sure we have that as a trigger. Then we'll edit the collider. Ignore my phone. And we'll bring that down to about there. About there. We'll bring this in just a hair. In just a hair. Now, some of our player is outside of that capsule, which is no big deal. But as long as we have something that's roughly the size of the player and it is fair for the player, we should be good. So now let's hit play. And now that that's up and running, let's find that slime. Where'd he run off to? There he is. All right, let's let him collide with the player. And you can see we're taking some damage. So boom, down to 2. Oh, why are we doubling the damage? Boom, down to 1. Huh. So let's find out why we are doubling the damage. But nonetheless, if this video was helpful, make sure you give it the big old thumbs up. If you like this video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe, as I do have videos coming out like this all the time. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Have a good one.